But I will say that one of the smartest things that I have done at the library so far is simply put a pride flag behind me with a picture of my girlfriend. And I did the same thing that I did when I worked at Barnes & Noble, and I stuck tiny flags on the Valentine's display to indicate which books were LGBT. So the kids don't even have to ask about it, they can just grab them. This job is truly the best.
Tell me you're after our kids without telling me you're after our kids. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button. And if you're returning, welcome back. I truly appreciate your continued support and tuning into my videos and commenting and just engaging with me on these issues. And I hope that you are subscribed as well, particularly if you are watching on Rumble, though I do appreciate the subscriptions on YouTube as well. Whatever your platform is that you prefer. So I am doing a little back to school event on my channel this week to cover some of the education legislation and indoctrination happening in our public schools at this time, so that as we're getting our kids ready to get back into the classroom, that we as parents can feel a little bit more prepared for whatever the woke mob might throw at us and our kids this year. So earlier this week, I talked about a teacher who dared parents to do something about the pride flag that he displayed in his classroom, and that did not go well for him. We talked about the LGBTQ activist groups sending thousands of dollars to public schools and charter schools across the country to make sure that they are able to host things called gender sexuality alliance clubs behind your back and make sure that your kids can change their identity and their pronouns and their wardrobe without you knowing and be a completely different person at school, amongst teachers who truly think that they have more rights over your kids than you do. So going with this theme, we are going to talk about the American Library Association that has appointed a new president, this individual here named Emily Dobrinsky. Before we talk about her too much, because you'll want to know who she is, let's talk about the American Library Association in general, because I know that our kids have access to a lot of books. I know that a lot of times they have access to books that we're kind of shocked about sometimes, and we're wondering who's influencing these decisions, who's allowing kids to have access to these things that they should not have access to, who is trying to put inappropriate material in front of little kids. And that is where we talk about the ALA. The American Library Association is the oldest and largest library association in the world. Founded on October 6, 1876, the mission of ALA is to provide leadership for the development, promotion, and improvement of library and information services and the profession of librarianship in order to enhance learning and ensure access to information for all. So far, we have no issues, but let's go on. The ALA is committed to upholding core values, which include equitable access to knowledge, social justice, and intellectual freedom. And when they're talking about intellectual freedom, it means the rights of library users to read, seek information, and speak freely as guaranteed by the First Amendment. Intellectual freedom is a core value of the library profession and a basic right in our democratic society. So again, nothing too outrageous, but you can see that there's a lot of this leftist language within the organization. And like I said, it is the largest library association in the world, so there's a really good chance that it is influencing most, if not all, of the materials that your child has access to in the library. So if you want to know why your child could read things like genderqueer in their library, or why we found this book in the library in the first place, which is incredibly inappropriate for anybody under the age of about 25, that would be the ALA's responsibility. So I'd say a little bit of dust was kicked up this week when the new president of the ALA, Emily Dobrinsky, tweeted this. She says, "I just cannot believe that a Marxist lesbian who believes that collective power is possible to build and can be wielded for a better world is the president-elect of ALA Library. I'm so excited for what we will do together. Solidarity. And my mom is so proud. I love you, Mom." Emily, I'm a little bit disappointed in your gendered language there. Mom? Really? So naturally, there was quite a bit of backlash to this tweet. People wondering, Marxism really in a United States Public Library Association? Somebody at the head of this organization that is in charge of the materials that our kids will have access to is a Marxist. Lesbian? Don't care so much. Marxist? That's the issue. So in response, Emily, via the ALA Library Twitter account, tweeted, "My own personal political viewpoint is a target right now, but my personal agenda doesn't drive the association. It's the agenda of all of us together." Now, to be clear, Emily, nobody believe for a second that you are acting alone. We are well aware that there are several of you that are driving your agenda into the materials that you want our kids to be able to read, particularly without our knowledge. We understand that it is that your personal agenda aligns with the agenda of the collective. So essentially, they're one and the same. And then James Lindsay, and if you don't know who James Lindsay is, please follow him. Please subscribe to his YouTube channel. He goes into depth about all of these things that are happening in public school. He has a book called The Marxification of Public Education or something like that. I have the book here. I've read part of it. But he goes into all of these details, and it is so informative and it's so eye-opening. If you really want an in-depth look about what is happening and why, please follow him. So James Lindsay says the American Library Association is run by a queer Marxist whose project is called Queering the Catalog. So we can see the deception in her language when she says, my personal agenda is not what's driving the association. It's not influencing things right now. It's just the agenda of all of us. And this is Emily's Twitter account here. And she just has a lot of very left-wing ideas. She posted, the American Library Association reaffirms its unwavering commitment to upholding the values of equity and inclusivity within libraries nationwide, unless you disagree. In response to recent concerns surrounding discriminatory practices faced by LGBTQIA+ library workers, the ALA stands united in support of these dedicated professionals, advocating for a workplace free from prejudice and discrimination. Unless you're a Christian parent who doesn't want your kid reading pornographic books in school. But instead of taking a step back and actually trying to live up to the actual definition of inclusivity, which as a librarian you should be fully aware of, which means accepting everybody's unique perspective and belief system and moral system and value system, and being willing to agree to disagree on things and let everybody live how they feel best, she decided to double down on her tweet that we should all praise her as the next Marxist lesbian Library Association president, and called the backlash regrettable. She said, I was so excited to highlight and celebrate two aspects of my identity that are really important to me and are often under a lot of scrutiny, Drabinski told the outlet. I didn't anticipate these kinds of targeted attacks being used as a bludgeon against library workers across the country. I really think that it is regrettable. I wish that wasn't happening right now. And this is so indicative of the victimhood mentality that I constantly talk about. It's that if you think that you are being victimized, like Drabinski here thinks that she's a victim because she's a Marxist lesbian, then you think that every single attack against you or everything negative against you or everybody that opposes you is doing so because you're a Marxist lesbian, not because you could potentially be doing something that they disagree with or something that they don't feel is right. You literally take everything negative and every opposition to you and every disagreement as a personal attack on your identity. And then, of course, she's taking it as an attack against all library workers across the country. And we're like, nope, just the Marxist lesbian ones. And nobody is forcing this woman to stop living her life the way that she wants to, but we have learned all too well that your personal agenda, particularly when you are on the left, is going to infiltrate everything around you because you think that whatever you think and believe is what everybody should think and believe, and that is their definition of inclusivity. And in response, since the tweet resurfaced, Republican legislators in Idaho, Illinois, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, and Louisiana have demanded that their state libraries leave the ALA over concern of its Marxist lesbian leadership. It's not a phrase I ever thought I'd have to say so much. And again, it just reads, my own personal political viewpoint is a target right now, but my personal agenda doesn't drive the association. Yeah, said no Marxist lesbian ever. But there is hope. A new national organization that seeks to serve an alternative to the American Library Association launched Monday, according to a press release release obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation. Dan Kleinman, a self-proclaimed library watchdog who has run a website for more than 10 years documenting political activism within libraries, has founded the World Library Association, the second nationwide library association and a competitor to the ALA, according to the press release. The World Library Association, open to public and school libraries, will offer financial support and assistance to parents involved in legal battles over sexually explicit content within public and school libraries, Kleinman told the CNF. The World Library Association is going to be able to attract donations from big donors on the other side, because somebody has to do something to give some kind of help to parents and communities, or else the nationwide effect of the harm done to children with this inappropriate material is going to be huge, Kleinman told the DCNF. The World Library Association would like to provide some kind of counterbalance to this big group that has been pushing these inappropriate books that they have been for decades. I love when there's a happy ending to the story, because there are so many organizations, whether it be retail, whether it be movie production, whether it be product development, that are all in this, on this woke bandwagon, that feel like it's their job to put all of this stuff in front of our kids, and it makes it very difficult to avoid a lot of times. But we're like, what's the alternative? Where am I going to get books? Where am I going to get clothing? Where am I going to buy my food? What am I going to do? Because there aren't enough conservative organizations to counter a lot of these things, which can be very frustrating. So I love it when things like this pop up to say, we're going to give parents a choice. We're not trying to dismantle the ALA. That is not the conservative way of doing things. We're not trying to get rid of you. We're just going to say we're going to give people an alternative to the Marxist lesbian library. So please go support the World Library Association, follow their account. Yes, they are very, very, very new, but we want to make sure that they succeed. And this person right here, I have nothing against her as a human being, but we don't believe the same things. We don't have the same values. We don't believe in teaching kids the same things. So it is my job as a parent to step in when I feel like people are trying to shove things in their faces that I believe are inappropriate. And the beauty of living in the United States of America is that we're allowed to do that. So please let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please hit the like button and make sure you are subscribed, because I really do appreciate that support. Both of those things cost you absolutely nothing, especially when everything else is so freaking expensive right now. And I will catch you in the next back to school video.